Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Midday Live on TV3 with me, Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up within the next 1 hour. Seven persons accused of murdering Captain Maxwell Mahama remanded to reappear before court on June 19. Meanwhile, the military high command calls on officers and men of the armed forces to exercise restraint and allow the law to take its course. Later in the bulletin, caterers of school feeding programs threaten to picket following delays in the payment of their arrears. We have details of all these stories, including business, sports, international news, and entertainment, all coming up within the next 1 hour. My name is Asiedu-Dartey. Let's start from the news that has been in the media for the last few days. And the Cape Coast District Court 1 has remanded to police custody the 7 persons connected to the murder of Captain Maxwell Mahama to reappear before court on the 19th of June. They were charged on the counts of murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The court was presided over by Magistrate Rita Amunyiwa Edusa. The suspects include 29-year-old farmer Kofi Nyame, 30-year-old prison assistant Kofi Bedu, 30-year-old farmer Bismarck Donko, and Philip Bedu. And then also we have a 30-year-old prison assistant making up the 7. The others include William Ba. He is 36, assemblyman and teacher Anthony Amoa, and then also a 23-year-old Okada rider Yao Ano. We also have a 32-year-old Mason. They make up the 7 suspects. Meanwhile, the pistol of the military officer that went missing on Monday after the incident has been retrieved by the Central Regional Police Command. The captain of the Ghana Armed Forces, Maxwell Adam Mahama, was lynched by some residents of Dintraboise in the Central Region after he was mistaken for an armed robber, allegedly. The incident has been heavily condemned by government officials and the public, with many calling for justice. And what we do know also is that currently the suspects have been to court and have been taken out to police custody. And our reporter who's been following this story has joined us online to give us an update on this. Thomas Khan is our Central Regional Correspondent. We'll be getting him shortly on the line, and we'll get to speak with him shortly to tell us what really transpired in court. Let's stay on the subject matter, because one of the suspects in the Captain Maxwell Mahama lynching, who claimed that he offered some form of assistance to the soldier to escape with his motorbike, has denied any involvement in the lynching process. Speaking to TV3's Komla Kluche, the middle-aged suspect confirmed knowing the captain as a soldier.
Is one of the suspects believed to have taken a pistol of Captain Maxwell Mahama. He turned himself in after being declared wanted. Indifferent, William Ba, the assemblyman who had been on the run, was declared wanted, gave a statement upon arrest. This gentleman, who is also a suspect, witnessed the gruesome lynching.
I saw some natives of the town firing gunshot. I had to abandon my motorbike at a point and escape in order to save my life. When I eventually managed to escape with my motor, he stopped me and asked me to assist him escape from the place. He told me he's a military officer, so I should assist him to the nearest police station. Whilst on the motor, they were still firing gunshots at him, so he got down. At that point, I had been shot on my leg and had asked an Okada to take me to the nearest hospital, so I have no hand in his death.
One of the 5 suspects arrested earlier also had this to say.
I stood aside and watched them beat him. I watched everything. I know all the people who beat him up.
Intensified investigations by the police continues unabated after the retrieval of the weapon from the suspect. Police will not offer any word except to say they are committed to prosecuting the suspect to its logical conclusion. The suspects have been accordingly charged. Police are holding them at the Metropolitan Police Station in Bakano in Cape Coast. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Cape Coast.
All right, so let's stay on the subject matter. So the latest is that the 7 suspects have been remanded in police custody to reappear on the 9th of June. The 19th of June, I beg your pardon, and they have been the charges that have been leveled against them is what I want to read out to you shortly. Then we'll speak to a lawyer to see really what then happens to those who, according to the reports coming in, were just standing there but have been added to the suspects that were arrested. Martin Pebu is a legal practitioner. He's joined us on the line to help us with some legal perspective on this. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, to start with, what we are being told is that these suspects have been charged with counts of murder and conspiracy to commit murder. With what has happened and what we've all seen, are these charges enough, or there could be more?
For now, we should say these are enough. That's for those who have been charged. Because, you see, when a person is charged with murder and same is proven in court, the consequence is death. Of course, in practice, for about 20 years or so now, we have stopped executing them. But it means that in all likelihood, considering the facts of this case, if a person is convicted, that person doesn't stand a chance of being granted a pardon. So in essence, he will die in jail. So, and if you look at it, the dying in jail is the ultimate, so to speak. So for now, I should think that is sufficient.
How about conspiracy to commit murder? Does that also, if it is proven that you conspired but did not commit it, what does that mean? Are the charges different? Are the consequences different?
Yes, the punishment is different. If you conspire, so the conspiracy means they planned or acted together. Either there was a prior meeting where they planned his death, or even if there was no prior meeting, at the time of killing the person, they all acted together. So then it means that their acts came together to cause the death. Then in that case, you would say conspiracy. But when it comes to murder, if a person is just convicted on conspiracy alone, meaning that the plan was done, okay, but they didn't carry it out at all, in that case, the person would get a life imprisonment, not death.
Okay.
So that one is different.
It's different.
But once the murder itself is proven, that one, the punishment is death.
Okay. But there are reports that some of the suspects that were, arrested were just bystanders, did not take part in the act, and they have also been added to the list of suspects who have been picked up. In this instance, what remedy could there be for them?
Yes, it's the case that those ones who they are facing, so from what you are describing, you're talking about aiding and abetting. Those are also very serious offenses, because you see, what the law seeks to prevent is that if you find a person committing a crime, you should stop it. But where you stand on and positively jeer on, yes, carry on, or like the way sometimes we'd say, wait, show me, hit the person harder, do it this way. All those expressions. If you stand there and you positively aid the people who are doing it, then we are talking about aiding and abetment. And I tell you, you are looking at almost the same kind of punishment, okay? Yes. So that the maximum in that case then would be the life imprisonment. Because as for murder, when you do aiding and abetting, okay, they would have to step it down a bit. So this, in essence, they are facing virtually the same kind of punishment.
Okay.
Yes, even though their charges have different names. But in practice, if all of them get convicted, in practice, it's about the same punishment.
The police say they are continuing investigations. There's a likelihood they might pick up a few, some other suspects. When they do, depending on the information they gather, do you think it is likely they could be also slapped with the same charge?
For those other persons, okay, those who are, those you refer to as those who are standing there,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yes, it's possible. It's possible. You know, what is seen on social media are only still pictures. So in a still picture, perhaps you see them only standing there. But as you rightly stated, if there is evidence to show that they actually participated in the actual killing, then the offense might rather become the murder instead of aiding and abetting.
Right, and my final question would be, I mean, let's put ourselves in the shoes of the family of Captain Mahama. If such an incident happens, what legal remedies are there for the family? Because just arresting people, trying them, finding them guilty, and maybe sentencing them to life imprisonment, should that satisfy the family legally? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. There is also what we call tort, okay? Yes, if you want, not that if you want, yes, there is a cause of action in tort, okay? If you cause the death of another person, okay, that's a tort. So in this case, they beat him to death. The family reserves the right to sue this person in the law of tort, okay, for compensation. So, you know, in the criminal trial that is going to take place, the primary purpose is to punish them. Like, as you said, so they will be jailed if they are convicted for life, since the murder, since actual execution will not be done, since we stopped it. So apart from the criminal trial, the family can sue them in a civil court to say you beat a son to death, so you have caused his death, so compensate us. But you see, in the law of tort, usually before you start the court action, you should be looking at the needs, the resources of the person you want to sue.
Okay.
It would appear, looking at those who, just be wrong looking at it. So I'm just saying, so far from what it appears, those are not persons of substance. So where the person doesn't have much, when you sue, you may get a judgment, but if the person doesn't have the means to satisfy it, it means that you won't get the money. Okay. So let's say, now that I'm talking to you, if I owe you, if I borrow 10,000 Ghana from you, and I'm unable to pay, if you sue me in a court of law, okay, in a civil court, you win. Okay. So you still come to my house with the court bailiffs and the rest to look for property, and I don't have anything. That is the end.
Okay.
Until it's property, you cannot get that 10,000 out of me.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for helping us with some legal perspective on this matter. Martin Pebu is a law lecturer and then also a practitioner as well. Staying on the subject, the District Chief Executive, or DCE, of Upper Dentra West and the District Police Command have both expressed varied positions on the role the slain soldier, that's Captain Maxwell Mahama, played in the area. Defiant District Chief Executive Daniel Apienim insists that he is not afraid to lose his job for stating that the District Security Council had no knowledge of the existence of the military in the area. TV3's Komla Kluche has more in the following report.
Schools remain shut. Pupils have all run away from the town. It's a total shutdown of Dentra Boise. This widow narrates what she knows about Captain Maxwell Mahama.
The soldier passed here and said he wanted to buy some wares. He said he was going to Boise and will be back to purchase the items. I heard later he was killed. I was terrified.
The area. These are the evidences. You can see sleepers of some of them who have deserted the area. This used to be one place we understand that they're often crowded in the evenings. There's heavy military patrolling the area. Suspects are on the run. The police on their heels. The raging controversy of what the army officer was sent there to do is under scrutiny. The police have a stand. And so you knew about the military men within your area?
Yes, they are in my area here, but their main activity is centered at the mining site.
The head of the District Security Council has also taken a position.
So you've never had any interaction with them?
Not at all. I would never lie.
But you see
the truth is one. Kamala, I'm a district chief executive. You expect that if probably I've seen a military man or somebody dressed in a military uniform, I assume that he's here in my district. It's something. Let us be honest with ourselves.
Documents available to us from the assembly showed the soldiers were protecting a mining concession belonging to C&J Alaska Mining. Some members of the assembly were recently sued for prospecting on the concessions of C&J Alaska Mining. The assembly shown an interlocutory injunction. What type of mine is C&J Alaska?
Is it no. The mining going on there is not Alaska mining.
Galamsey?
Now, the terms Galamsey, small scale mining, whatever, Okano and Kenya, you get a problem.
The chiefs of the Dintra Traditional Council have denied Galamsey activities in the area. We found our days after 5 minutes drive from Diaso, the district capital.
We can see the level of destruction that's been put here. You can see it's quite revealing, even though they are not working. I'm not too sure. Let me just speak a quick word from this gentleman here. Busumi Senia Mujai Ejomaniwa.
We have not been working for 3 months. What we are currently doing is filling, which we are here to monitor. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Dintra Boise.
So it still looks a bit confusing as to whether there was Galamsey activity there or there wasn't, and what the soldiers were there for. The state says categorically they were there to prevent the activity of illegal mining. But then the DCE is also defiant, and we've also seen statements from some leaders of the village or the township saying that the soldiers were there to do the contrary. Definitely after investigations, we'll get to the bottom of this. But let's go to the earlier story about the suspects, the 7 suspects appearing in court. And Thomas Khan has joined us via phone. Thomas, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good afternoon, Martin.
What can you tell us about the demeanor of these 7 suspects when they appeared before court? And what else can you report from the court?
Well, they appeared in court today, all 7. And it was, I must say, it was very remorseful and solemn looking at the suspects. All of them came into court, and I must say, they look very, very sad, looking at their faces. And again, the case was, it went on with the prosecution reading charges of murder against all 7 suspects. And this is the reason why the presiding judge, Rita Amwenua, adjourned the case to the 19th of June for police to get time to investigate the...
Okay. Have you been able to speak to the lawyer for these suspects, and what did the lawyer say? Well,
for the lawyer who represented the suspect, he thinks that it is too early to make any statement, but he was in court to, follow proceedings, and they are yet to make a plea whether they are going to plead guilty or not guilty. That is going to be determined by the next hearing of the case.
And finally, what can you tell us about the assemblyman who was declared wanted? We know that he's part of the 7. Are they charging him separately, or he's just been bundled with them?
All 7 have been bundled with the same charges so far.
So he was also in court. He was apprehended later when the first 5 were apprehended. So he was also in court. But I must say that he was the only one a bit looking different from all the suspects. They just came in Chalawati and then some barefooted. But he was the only one looking honorable, wearing shoe.
Quite dressed.
Yeah. Okay. And again, looking at the court premises, I must say security was really tight today. And again, this case, because of the magnitude it is, attracted a lot of people who came to the court premises. And again, when they were being taken away, you should see it. It was very sad. People hooting at them and, all of that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Thomas Khan. We will certainly be coming to you subsequently. He is our Central Regional Correspondent and is following the story keenly and would keep us posted whenever there is any update. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Ghana, where is your love? Where is your love? Ghana, something is wrong. How come? My body, how come? How come?
Thank you very much for staying with TV3. This is still Midday Live, and we are shifting our focus to some other stories now, also quite disturbing. The acting paramount chief of Yilo Krobo, Nene Odoko Tume, has called on the residents of Somanya to allow the security to deal with the disturbances that led to the burning down of the police station on Monday. He made the call during an emergency municipal security council meeting at Somanya.
The Wednesday Municipal Security Council meeting was at the instance of the Yilo Krobo Traditional Authority. The meeting discussed the issues which led to the burning down of the district police station on Monday. The acting paramount chief, Nene Odoko Tume, condemned the incident and urged all concerned to remain calm and allow the law to take its full course. The Assembly member of Sra electoral area, Paul Ayete, apologized on behalf of the youth and promised to ensure the act is not repeated. Member of Parliament for the area, Magnus Kofi Amwate, was at a loss as to why the youth should venge their anger on the police on an issue involving the electricity company. The council, however, expressed regret over the absence of the management of the electricity company, even though they were duly invited.
In other news this afternoon, the head of Department for Public Administration and Health Services Management of the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Justice Bawole, has appealed to government as a matter of urgency to reconstitute the councils for the various public universities. Their absence, he explained, means major decisions cannot be taken by the universities.
For nearly 5 months, some of the public universities have no councils. The council plays a major role in determining an institution's direction while its administration oversees the quality of the educational services it delivers, ensures administrative leadership, and manages the resources made available. Head of Department for Public Administration and Health Services Management of the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Justice Bawole, is of the view the situation has possible cost implications.
If you get a naughty head of an institution, they will go ahead and have a field day, and we all know what the implications of that could be. Decisions reversed by the council if it's constituted, and if it involves cost, then the state would have to bear the cost. In some cases, by the time that the council will look at it, some officers would have taken place.
No vice-chancellor would want to risk taking a decision that is meant for the governing council. They decide on capital expenditure, planning and control, investments as well as promotions. Dr. Bawole stated the lack of councils is negatively affecting the running of the public universities.
The technical universities that just got converted, the polytechnics that just got converted to technical universities, many of them are new institutions. They are taking new decisions. They have to be expanding. They have to get accreditation and things for programs and stuff like that. Many of these would terminate at the management level, but many also would go up to the council levels. And these decisions cannot wait.
He appealed to government to immediately take steps to reconstitute the councils for the public universities.
I think what is possible to do is to have the ministers of the various sectors take leadership in this. Minister of a particular sector, in consultation with the key actors in that sector, will make recommendations to the chief of staff. And the chief of staff will table this for the president's review. And then if he has no objection, he goes on and says, no, appoint. And then they get appointed.
All right, so the story is clear that 5 months into office, the government is yet to constitute new councils for the various tertiary institutions to replace the old ones. This, according to information we've gathered, is affecting the smooth running of these institutions, as they will have to rely on the councils for approvals of critical needs, including the award of degrees and certificates, not to talk of procurement of badly needed items. So joining us via Skype is Dr. Prince Amar. He is the Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies, to put the issue into proper perspective for us. Good afternoon, Doc. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Martin.
All right, to start with, this issue happens whenever there is a change in government. Why can't the Governing Act be amended to allow the old council to act at least until a new council is constituted?
Well, thank you very much. I mean, look at what the universities have. All of them are features of an act of parliament, and it clearly stipulates that they must have perpetual succession. So what it means is that it's the appointing authority which has failed in its duty to appoint or the councils. And as we have heard from other colleagues, the university council is absolutely critical in the smooth running of the university. And without the council, it's more like a human being without a head. You can't operate without a council. It's like having a company without a board. So government has to take immediate action to address it. There are some of the universities who have not even had a properly constituted council even before this government assumed office in January.
Okay. What we're also gathering is that teacher trainees are threatening to stay off their lecture halls because feeding grants, for instance, have not been paid for 4 semesters, and now just because the board, has not been constituted. In these kinds of matters, what would you say the ordinary fellow on the street can do, or government should do in the interim?
I mean, the laws are clear. As I said, all of them are created by an act of parliament, and it clearly stipulates what should be done. What government needs to do at the moment is to do the reappointment as soon as possible, because otherwise, appointments cannot be done, because these universities, these institutions work on the committees system, and these committees are appendage of the council. It's the committees of the council. If the councils are unavailable, then the committees lacks the legal, background, the backing to be able to act efficiently. There are some universities, for example, who are unable to undertake congregation because the council is not in place. Procurement for teacher trainees might also be a serious issue because they have to need to undertake such a financial venture. So immediately, what government needs to do is to reconstitute the council. And how long does it take? Many of the council members are already in existence. For example, if you are taking a university, you would have a member from the Ghana Education Service, a member from Teacher Union. All of these individuals can easily be appointed by these appointing authorities. What it is required is government appointing individuals that will come from their end and commissioning these councils to operate. So I don't think we must be in this situation. It's purely an act of ineptitude on our part or on the appointing authorities to do that. Otherwise, you cannot at any point in time have no council. The laws are very clear. There has to be a perpetual succession of a council.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your perspective on this. We've been speaking with Dr. Prince Ama. He's Executive Director for the Institute of Education Studies, reiterating the need for the constitution of councils for the various tertiary institutions. We'll keep an eye on this and see what government's response would be in the coming days. Still on education, however, some caterers under the school feeding program who were promised payment by government earlier this month have threatened to picket the Education Ministry following government's failure to fulfill its promise. This follows several months of arrears owed by these caterers to their suppliers. They have indicated that the arrears is frustrating their business, hence their decision to picket at the Education Ministry. As to the exact day they intend to do that, we will be finding out shortly from Asiedu-Dartey Apia Kurang. She's the Public Relations Officer for the school feeding caterers, and she's joined us via phone. Madam, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Hello, madam.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Welcome.
Can you help us understand how many month arrears government owes you?
The government owes us from 2016 June.
June 2015.
2016 June.
2016 June. And we are in June. Today is 1st June. So that's just about a year.
Yes, exactly a year.
And what have you heard from government with regard to responses?
Okay, last month, in May, we went to the Secretariat and they moved us to the ministry. So we went to the Ministry of Gender. Unfortunately, we met the absence of the minister, but the chief director and the school feeding coordinators came around. And when they came around, they promised us that by the end of May, they are going to pay us 75 days of the money owed us. Then the remaining money will be paid June, and by the end of July, all our arrears will be paid. So last week Friday, we went back to the ministry to remind them of their promise, knowing that the end of the month will be yesterday. When we went there, what they told us that they didn't make any promise. But as we are here today, they don't know when our monies are going to be paid us, whether today or tomorrow. But they can assure us that the money will be paid. But for that promise, they don't even remember making that promise.
Well, wasn't it documented when the promise was made? Was there no official documentation either on your side or their side where both of you had to append to at least?
There was no only official documentation, but the press was there. TV3, you were there and you covered it. I remember. Wow. TV3 was there themselves. So the chief director wants to tell us that he is not aware, but he was there, and he also stamped that by the end of May, that was last month, our 75 days were going to be paid to us, so that the remaining days that we've cooked will be paid, and by the end of July, all our monies will be paid. So as of yesterday, we spoke with the PRO of the school feeding secretary, who is Siba, and I think some of the executives too went there, and what they told us is that they've gotten some of the money, but the money they've gotten cannot even pay us 10 days.
Okay.
So we have to wait till they get all the money before they can pay us. So as I'm talking to you today, we don't know when our monies are going to be paid us.
Okay, you are threatening to picket. When?
We don't know when. They told us that they themselves can't promise us today or tomorrow.
Okay. But your decision to picket is what I'm asking about. When are you likely to do that?
Oh, we've not decided that, but we've decided to stop cooking from Monday across Ghana.
From Monday, you're going to stop cooking across Ghana?
Yes, all caterers are going to stop cooking from Monday. We are deciding to have the press conference. We have the Kumasi people and the Eastern Region executives here. We are waiting for the other regional executives to come. On Monday, we are not going to cook.
Okay. Thank you very much for making time to speak with us. Asiedu-Dartey Apia, Public Relations Officer for the School Feeding Caterers Association of Ghana. TV3 will certainly keep you posted on the latest development with regard to that. Stay with us. We'll be back with business on Midday Live.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Business News with Kwesi Asare. Coming up in our very first story, financial analyst with the African Alliance Securities, Asiedu-Dartey, is calling on government to quickly put in place a board of directors for the Securities and Exchange Commission. She said the capital markets regulator without a board of directors to approve market activities is having a negative effect on investments.
The change of government on January 7 this year demanded the dissolution of all state boards, including that of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. 5 months into the new government, a board of directors for the capital market regulator has not been constituted, and this, according to investment bankers, is severely hampering the equity and debt listing of companies on the stock market. Investment banker with the African Alliance Securities, Asiedu-Dartey, says nothing much has been done this year as they are only waiting for the board.
It is definitely affecting business. We are sitting here waiting. There are a lot of us who have IPOs or public affairs pending, sitting and waiting with the SEC. We are waiting for commissioners to do that. It's rather disappointing that we have operated this far into the year with no commissioners for the overall regulator of the capital market.
The laws regulating the capital market requires all new listings and the registration of investment advisory firms, asset management firms, and the creation of mutual funds have to be approved by the board of the SEC.
Per the new Investment Act, the Act 929, it states that the board of the commission must meet at least once every 2 months. So as we speak, the absence of the board means that they are in clear breach of that provision in the Securities Industry Act, meaning that for this year we are almost ending the 5th month. So if for nothing at all, they should have met a minimum twice already, but this has not happened.
TV3 Business contacted the Deputy Minister, Abena Osei-Asare, who declined to speak on camera, said plans are far advanced to constitute the board. The board, when formed, shall consist of a chairperson, the Director General, 2 Deputy Director Generals, 1 representative each from the Bank of Ghana, Ministry of Finance, Registrar General, a lawyer, a chartered accountant, and an academic researcher, and a woman.
Right, so the absence of a board, just like that of the Council for Tertiary Institutions, as I just brought to you, is also affecting the Securities and Exchange Commission. But in the case of SEC, the impact goes far and wide because of investments on the capital market. Joining me in the studio is Mr. Joe Jackson. He's an investment analyst. Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson, for your time. Does it sound right to you that, you know, we've got to change boards with the coming in of new governments?
You know, it doesn't sound right. I mean, if it's a board performing a political function or a function that has political implications, I can deal with that. But this is the board of SEC. What is SEC doing? Raising capital for the private sector in this country, right? And so, first of all, it's even difficult to understand why the board should change with every
changing government.
Every changing government, because the board, really, the board's function is not political. The board is there to support the private sector, raise money for the private sector. They've done a lot of good work, lowering the bar for the alternative exchange, the Ghana alternative, GACs, etc., to get smaller sized businesses on there to bring capital. They've done a really decent job. But there's more to be done, especially in this era where we're talking about getting the private sector moving to support the business of this government, right? You're asking yourself, what's happening?
In the case of the issuance of domestic bonds, what is the position of the financial regulations regarding the board of the central bank?
Well, remember that the two, when you say domestic bonds, if you're talking about publics, the government issue, that goes through a different track.
Right.
If you're talking about private sector companies, mid-sized private sector companies who want to issue a bond or to list in order to raise capital, they have to go through SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. And going through that means that the board has to approve. Now, once there's been no board for the last 5 months or so, because we are now in June, that means that for the last 5 months, nothing has happened. There's been no action in terms of everybody who has a plan to list, a plan to raise funds by issuing a bond or a security.
Would have to take a back seat.
Has to take a back seat.
Until the appointment of a board of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, moving forward, what are your suggestions? How do we help resolve this seeming crisis of sorts?
Make the board apolitical, and make the board's duration, take it off the political calendar, right? Because there's a lot of pent-up demand for capital.
If the appointment of the executive director is political, how can the appointment of the board be apolitical?
Both. Why are you taking up? Why should the appointment of the Securities and Exchange Commission, why should it be political? The appointment for the governor of the Bank of Ghana is not political.
Is it? Tell me.
It isn't. If it is political, we have sought to make it so.
Are we pretending it's not political? There's a difference between what ought to be and what is. What is at the moment is that we've had a central bank governor who's had to retire because a new government has come in place.
The question you have to ask is, why did he retire?
Well, that's a multi-million-dollar question. Thank you very much, Joe Jackson. Is an investment analyst joining us here on the Midday News. Well, that's all for the business on Midday. We'll take a short break. When we return, we've got the very latest in the world of sports.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Midday Live here on TV3. My name is Anako Jafre with the sports updates. Let's get into the details. Now, ahead of a busy month in senior international football with FIFA World Cup qualifying and FIFA Confederations Cup set to take center stage in June, there has been a small amount of notable movement in the latest FIFA Coca-Cola World Ranking. Ghana dropped 4 places in the latest FIFA ranking, leaving the country in the 49th position globally and 9th in Africa. Africa's leading nation is Egypt, and they have dropped 1 position to 20 in the world. Brazil kept their place in the lead of the global ranking after changing places with Argentina in April. And the Black Stars began their build-up to the 2019 Nations Cup against Ethiopia. Coach Kwesi Appiah took 17 players through the session, including all 7 home-based players named in the Ghana side. And Eke Amankwa was there and has come through with this report.
Black Stars duty calls, and for many of the players lucky to get vital invitation from Kwesi Appiah, the month of June represents a vital month. There are 3 Ghana games, including the Nations Cup qualifier against Ethiopia in Kumasi. And on Wednesday evening at the Accra Sports Stadium, 17 of them gathered for the first in what will be many training sessions together. There were the old familiar faces like the Ayew brothers, Andre and Jordan, as well as Leicester City's Daniel Amate and Efri Aqua of Torino. There were familiar faces in the technical team too, with ex-captain Stephen Appiah and former goalkeeper Richard Kinson, who played with some members of the present team in the coaching staff now, to the delights of Deputy Captain Andre Ayew.
In Black Stars for now 10 years, and I've met different coaches, and I've worked with him before. So we know him, we know what he's up to. You know that he has gotten back into the team with even more experience. So hopefully we will get results. And today the first day of training was good. And we're happy to be back to see Steven and the squad, to see Olele part of the team. So I think it's players who have done the great days of the national team and know what they are about.
For others though, the session was a new experience. Appiah has named 7 home-based players in the side, including Liberty Professionals captain Samuel Safo.
Feels good, being among
the stars of our time. It's a morale booster for us and also to enhance our performance. If we are to put in a lot of effort, we can see majority of the other local players also here.
The team will continue their build-up in Accra till Saturday, take a break, then gather again in Kumasi for the home stretch ahead of that qualifier against Ethiopia.
Meanwhile, Stars Deputy Captain Andrea Ayew is confident the Black Stars can qualify for the AFCON in 2019. The Black Stars are pegged in the same group with Sierra Leone, Kenya and Ethiopia. And Andre says the team wants to begin the campaign in Kumasi in the best possible fashion.
No, well, the goal is to already be in Cameroon. I think we cannot sit here and say we want to win the African Cup if you are not yet qualified. So we need to do our job, qualify. It's going to be very tough, very difficult. And Ghana is a team who has to win trophies. So we know that now to then is a very long time, so we don't want to predict anything, but that's the goal. We are working towards going to Cameroon and doing something great. But before we can do something great, we have to pass Kenya, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia. There are a lot of games.
In relation to the Black Stars, the introduction of new and young blood into the Black Stars by new coach Kwesi Appiah has seen him approach a new starlet, Kingsley Safo. However, the young midfielder currently with FC Cyrus now finds himself in the middle of a nationality battle between the Ghana Football Association and the Swedish FA.
For a young footballer breaking through the barriers to stardom, Kingsley Safo is having a stormy last few days. After a dream debut call-up to the provisional 30-man Black Star squad last week, the Swedish Football Association have moved to block that decision by new Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah to invite the midfielder join his side for the upcoming 2019 African Cup qualifier. Safo, who plays for FC Cyrus, has been one of the most exciting players in the Swedish top flight league, having grabbed 3 goals. Sweden under-21 coach Hakan Eriksson has revealed the Swedish FA has asked the country's immigration authorities to speed up the process of ensuring Safo gets citizenship status to make him eligible to play for Sweden. That has put his future in Ghana football into a fresh tumult. To add to Safo's recent struggles, the Sergeant midfielder lost his mother last Saturday. He was removed from FC Cyrus's game on Monday due to the stress and lack of concentration. He has shown promise and will consistently push for a place in the first team of the Black Stars should he continue the form he has displayed this season in the Swedish top flight. Having not represented any country at an international level, the tussle between Ghana and Sweden will continue till he is clad in the famous black and white shirt of Ghana.
That's all the sports here on Midday Live. Martin, it looks like we've seen the potential in Kingsley Safo. We want to go for him, and Sweden say we want him.
We should go for him, I think. Honestly, we should go for him.
He's been called up to the team, so let's see what happens.
Certainly. Thank you very much, Nanako Jaffre. He brought us the latest in the world of sports. Let's bring you a quick interview that has to do with a body of a man within the ages of 40 years who, which was found around a village near Dencheboase, where Captain Mahama was lynched. And that is news just coming in. We've been joined on the phone line by ASP Asiedu Ajiman. He is the Diaso District Police Commander, and I would want to ask him what else he can tell us about this body. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon. You're welcome.
We are told that you found a body of a man with deep cuts around his neck. What other information can you tell us? Do we know who he is? Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, we are told you found a man with deep cuts around his neck, a dead body.
Yes.
Do we know who he is?
You want to know if we now know his name?
His identity, yes.
Yes. We found his ID card on him with the name Francis Bio.
Francis what?
Bio. Francis Bio.
Bio.
B-I-O-H.
Okay.
Francis Bio.
And did it show whether he was a student or a worker and where? The ID card, what company's name was on it?
It's a Electoral Commission ID card.
An Electoral Commission ID card?
Voters ID card.
His voter's ID card, okay.
Yeah, voter's ID card, yeah.
Do we know how long he's been there where you found him?
According to the complainant, he heard of the cops around 6:15 this morning. And around 7 o'clock, he came to the police to make the report.
So the body has been retrieved, but you do not know whether he's been dead for 2 days, a week, a month?
No, he might have died early this morning.
And with the evidence you have seen, with the cuts, it is likely to have been an attack on him?
For now, I cannot tell as to whether he killed himself or somebody killed him. We have to do some investigation and then find out. But sure, like I told you, there's a deep cut on the upper left neck.
Around his neck? Okay.
The left upper side of the neck.
The upper
There's
side
a
of
deep
the
cut
neck?
there.
Okay.
The neck, his neck.
All right. Thank you. We would certainly come back to you. Unfortunately, we've run out of time on this, but thank you for that information. We've been speaking with ASP Asiedu-Dartey. He is the Diaso District Police Commander. Diaso is a town near where Captain Maxwell was lynched. We are told a 40-year-old body was found there with deep cuts around the upper part of his neck. We'll keep an eye on it for you. Time now, though, for entertainment.
Entertainment news is brought to you by...
In entertainment this afternoon, we know what's happening in social media with the latest trends and things that catch up. The latest, though, is the ladder challenge, and here's a short report we've put together for you.
Let's go, ladies.
Trends come and go. The mannequin challenge, the ice bucket challenge, and the calipo challenge are no more in vogue. The latest fad in town is the follow the ladder challenge, a trend where people climb all sorts of things in an attempt to reach heaven.
Follow the ladder, follow the ladder, follow the ladder. Ladder, 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 ladder. Our Lord Jesus is the ladder. Ladder, 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 ladder. Our Lord Jesus is our ladder. Ladder, follow the ladder. Yeah, follow the ladder. Yeah, follow the ladder to heaven.
Any of those videos I see, I just laugh because they are always coming out with different concepts, you know, different people, different concepts, but the same song and different same stuff.
The song is getting a lot of attention now. It's getting a lot.
It's even my ringtone.
It's fun and it just takes away the stress.
Sometimes you are serious and you see certain videos and it just makes your day. You laugh out loud, yeah.
One would ask, how did it come about? Well, the fun challenge was inspired by Nigerian singer Agnes Iro's old but fascinating video to her song, Follow the Ladder, which showed believers climbing a ladder to heaven. Fans created their versions of the video to ridicule the concept, but it went viral. Many hilarious videos, most of which evoke creativity, have since surfaced. Those who are afraid of heights are not left out in the trend. Some celebrities have already joined the fun.
The one Efia Schwarzenegger did is so crazy and it's creative. She's about to take alcohol and the ladder, like a voice came from heaven to follow the ladder. So you have to drop your alcohol, pick up your handkerchief and dance and follow the ladder. And unfortunately, the ladder is just a poly tank or something. So
this might make your day.
Ladders are in high demand now. finding one is becoming increasingly difficult. Some way, somehow, they all seem to have disappeared to heaven.
Our Lord Jesus is the ladder. Ladder, 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 ladder. Our Lord Jesus is our ladder. Ladder, follow. Follow the ladder. Yeah, follow the ladder. Yeah, follow the ladder to heaven. Sister, follow. Follow the ladder.
I'll be disappearing very soon to heaven. Join me as I follow the ladder to heaven.
And Warai has disappeared. And that's it for the bulletin. It came your way from our studio here at Asiedu-Dartey. My name is Asiedu-Dartey. Thank you very much for watching. Do have a good afternoon. As always, stay positive. Bye for now.